Hello everyone, this is second lecture of Unit 1. In this lecture I will discuss about the dynamics of electrical drives and coordinate operation of the electrical drives. So a motor generally drives a load through some transmission system. While the motor always rotates, the load may rotate or may undergo a translational motion. That means load may have linear velocity or it may have some angular velocity. The load speed may be different from that of the motor. If the load has many parts, their speed may be different. So some parts may rotate at omega m1, other parts may rotate at omega m2 and omega m3, like that. Others may go through a translational motion. Therefore, for convenience, what we do, we have to represent motor load system with some kind of equivalent system. So this is equivalent motor load system where motor is producing torque T, whereas load, it is producing torque TL and it is rotating at speed omega m. So load normally it opposes the motion of this motor. So load torque is in opposite direction to that of motor torque, and speed is in the direction of the motor torque. That means speed is positive, torque is positive. Here J is the moment of inertia of load system referred to the motor shaft. So normally if there are several types of loads connected to the one motor, then we have to create one equivalent motor load system and one equivalent J, that is one equivalent moment of inertia that is referred to the motor shaft, and the unit of moment of inertia will be kilogram meter square. Omega m is the instantaneous angular velocity of motor shaft, which is in radian per second, and T is the instantaneous value of developed motor torque in Newton meter. In some book you will find that this T is referred with TE. Now what will be the dynamic equation of the rotating system? So it will be T minus TL. If you can see, T is in this direction, TL is in opposite direction. So net torque will be T minus TL, and that will be ddt of j omega m, change of angular momentum. Like in Newton second law, the net force will be equal to change of momentum. That is mv there, but here it is rotational system, so here we are using j omega m. Now differentiate this by parts. J d omega m upon dt plus omega m dj over dt. Now this second term will be 0 because the moment of inertia does not change with time. So this term will be 0. So we are having T is equal to TL be taken this side. So T is equal to TL plus J d omega m upon dt. So this is the dynamic equation of electrical drives. So torque component J d omega m over dt is called dynamic torque because it is present only during the transient operation. During steady state operation, this will be 0. So we will have motor torque will be equal to the load torque in steady state operation. There will be some, since we are having rotational system, so it will have some kinetic energy stored in it, and that kinetic energy will be given by j omega m square upon 2. Now if we classify the load torques, in broad classification we can have active load torque and passive load torques. So load torque which has the potential to drive the motor under equilibrium conditions, just like train. If it is moving downhill, then if motor is off, then still the load torque will drive the motor, so that will call as active load. Okay, so such load torque usually retain their sign when the drive rotation is changed. If speed direction is changed, the load torque direction will not change. So this is one of the characteristic of the active load torque. So torque due to force of gravity, like train was moving due to gravity in downhill. Torque due to tension, torque due to compression and torsion. Now load torque which always oppose the motion and change their sign on reversal of motion. Whenever speed will get reversed, the load torque, if it is getting reversed, then we will have passive load torque. Most of the time you will find that in electric drive system the loads are of passive nature. So some example like torque due to friction, cutting, etc. Now again the load torque will have three different components. So TL, in equivalent load motor system there was equivalent load torque. So this load torque further we can classify into three different components. So one is friction torque, another is windage torque, and third one is torque required to do the useful mechanical work. So friction will be present whenever there is a mechanical system. There will be always some kind of friction, and if there is some motion, then wind will also produce some torque, that will be windage torque. Then there will be useful mechanical work torque. So friction will be present at the motor shaft and also in various parts of the load. TF is equivalent value of various friction torque. Again friction will have three different components that I'll discuss next. Now this windage torque, when motor runs, wind generates a torque opposing the motion. This is known as windage torque. Now torque required to do useful mechanical work. Nature of this torque depends on particular application. Different types of load you will find that speed torque characteristic will be different. So first you have to identify what type of load you are going to drive. Then its characteristic will be identified. Then based on that we can select particular motor to drive that load. So load torque have three different components. One is friction torque, another is windage torque, then torque required to do useful mechanical work. Again friction torque will be classified into three different components. So this is the friction torque. We are having three different components. One is TS, that is called static friction. Then we are having one friction that is constant, which is the value of the torque is constant, and this we call Coulomb friction. Then we are having one TV that we call viscous friction. So static friction normally it is at zero speed or at very low speed. You can see here speed is 0, the value of this torque is maximum. As the speed goes up, this torque value is decreases, and at this speed the torque value becomes 0. Whereas Coulomb friction, it is independent of the speed and it is having some constant value. This viscous friction, it is proportional to the speed. At zero speed it is 0. As speed increases, the value of viscous friction increases. At higher speeds the viscous friction will be dominating among all these three friction torque components. So as I discussed in the previous slide, that this TV varies linear to the velocity, TC is independent of speed, that is called Coulomb friction, and TC was, and this TS was static friction, which is present only at rest or at very low speeds. Okay. So load torque, you can see here the load torque is again represented with these three components, these four components rather. We are having useful load torque, that is used for doing some useful work. Then this is viscous friction. Then this is Coulomb friction, which is constant, and this is due to windage. Okay. Here we are taking TS to be 0 because once it is moving, it is rotating, the value of TS is 0. If you are taking at rest, the load torque will become TL plus TC plus TS. These two components, this component and this component, viscous friction and this friction, this windage component will be 0 because velocity will be 0. Then this component and this component will be 0. So in that case, at the rest condition, the load torque will be TL plus TC plus TS. But at moving condition, TS will be 0. So we are having TL plus B omega m plus TC plus C omega m square. So combined friction torque will look like this. Friction was having three components: static friction, Coulomb friction, and viscous friction. If we combine these three friction together, we are having net friction torque like this. One thing you should notice here, that speed always taken on the y-axis and torque is always taken on the x-axis. This will be the convention that I will use throughout this drive course. Okay. So you can see at very low speed the torque is high. This is because of the static friction. Okay. But as the speed goes up, the static friction coming down, but viscous friction is increasing. So after this speed, the torque is increases because of the presence of the viscous friction, which was proportional to the speed of the system. So different types of loads and their torque characteristics. Normally I had discussed. You can read these slides. Now typical load characteristics. This is a servo load. So useful torque, what kind of characteristics will be that? You can see from this. So load speed torque characteristics of servo mechanical drive for tool and automation applications. It is like this. Then this is for traction and electric vehicles. You can see it is a constant power drive. If you multiply torque and omega, the power will be torque into omega, or torque into speed will be the power. Here, as the speed decreases, torque increases. So product is constant. So this is also called constant power drives. Okay. So you can see from this characteristic that this characteristics ideally suitable for DC series motor drives. That's why in traction drives still we prefer DC series motors. This is the speed torque characteristics of fan, compressor and pump type of drives, where torque is proportional to speed square. So if we multiply torque with speed, that will be the power. So power will be proportional to speed cube. This is torque speed characteristic of hoist, lift and winch drives. You can see there that the torque is constant with respect to speed. Okay. So if we think about the torque speed characteristic of some motors that you already learned in the machine course, you can see from here that for synchronous motor, the torque speed characteristic, you can see here it is running at a constant speed. Synchronous motor, also known as constant speed motors. You can see from here that torque is increasing but speed is constant. Here again speed is constant, torque is increasing or changing. Then you can see that DC series motor, which is a having characteristic like this. So these two and this one, this characteristic, if I take from this to this, it will be something like that of shunt motor characteristic. And for induction motor or asynchronous motor, you can see that the speed torque characteristic look like this. So based on the load torque speed characteristic, we can select a motor of that particular speed torque characteristics. Okay, so there are a lot of motors available in the market. You have to first consider what type of load you are going to drive, then check its torque speed characteristic. Based on that, you have to select the motor. And also power rating is important, because some motor cannot drive very huge loads. So depending on the situation, you have to select that particular motor. So those torque characteristics are discussed here in detail, that you can read. Now I'll come to the quadrant operation. So as I said, that speed we are always considering on the y-axis, while torque we are considering on the x-axis. So here speed is positive, torque is positive. So both speed and torque is positive. Product of speed and torque will be the power. So power is positive in this case. So first quadrant operation, it is called as forward motoring. If speed we are taking positive, then it will be forward. Since speed and torque both in the same direction, so we'll call that motoring operation. So here, so quadrant 1, you can see torque and speed both are positive, and we will call that mode of operation as forward motoring operation. Now in second quadrant, the speed is positive but torque is negative. Torque means the motor torque. I'm talking about the motor torque. Here motor torque is negative, speed is positive, so product will be negative. That's why we called it braking operation. That means the speed will decrease. Torque is in opposite direction to the speed, so speed will get decreasing. That's why we called it braking operation. But still speed is positive, that's why we called forward operation. Okay, so this is forward braking operation. Whenever torque and speed they are having in opposite direction, we'll call braking operation. But if speed is positive, we'll call forward. If speed is negative, we'll call reverse. Okay, so second quadrant is forward braking operation. Similarly, you can see in third quadrant the speed is negative, torque is also negative, so product will be again positive, so that will be the motoring operation. That means motor will drive the load. Here you can see the speed becomes in reverse direction, that's why we called reverse motoring. Speed become negative, so we call that reverse motoring operation. Now come into the fourth. Here again torque is positive, speed is negative. You can see speed is negative, and here torque is positive. So fourth quadrant, torque is positive, speed is negative, product will be again negative, so we will call that braking operation. But again speed is negative, so we will call reverse braking operation. So first quadrant is forward motoring operation where both speed and torque are positive. Second quadrant is forward braking operation. Third one is reverse motoring operation, and fourth one will be reverse braking operation. We'll understand with some kind of example. You can understand with this example. Here we are taking anti-clockwise direction of torque and speed as positive. Okay, so we are having one loaded cage. This is example of lift or hoist, how they are working. Okay, so we are having one pulley here. With this pulley we have one cage where load is placed. Then we are having one counterweight of constant load. Okay, here the assumption is that the loaded cage, the weight of loaded cage is always greater than the counterweight, whereas the weight of empty cage is always less than that of counterweight. Okay, so in this pulley we have one shaft that is coupled with the electric motor, and that motor drives this pulley, and based on the direction of the motor rotation, this load will go up or it will go down. Okay, so assumption is the loaded cage weight is more than weight of the counterweight, whereas the empty cage load will be less than that of counterweight. So in first coordinate we are having loaded cage, and here it is counterweight. So naturally this will go down because this weight is more than counterweight, but we have to pull it up. So load torque will be in clockwise direction. You can see the load torque is this second one. The load torque is in clockwise direction, so motor have to rotate in anti-clockwise direction, so that this load must go up. Okay, so load is motor torque is in anti-clockwise direction, and rotation of this shaft is also in anti-clockwise direction, so both motor torque and speed are positive. Anti-clockwise direction we have taken as positive. Okay, so this is the first quadrant operation where loaded cage is moved up through this motor. Okay, now come to the second quadrant. Here we are having empty cage and it is to be moved up. Okay, since the counterweight having more weight than this empty cage, in order to have safe speed, okay, the torque must be, you can see the load torque will be in this anti-clockwise direction, so motor torque must be in clockwise direction, so that it should balance the counterweight. Okay, so load torque, you can see from this combination, will be in anti-clockwise direction, so motor have to produce clockwise direction torque to counterbalance this torque. Okay, so that there should not be any acceleration. So you can see that speed is in anti-clockwise direction, but motor torque will be in clockwise direction. So torque is negative, speed is positive. So this will call forward braking operation. Okay, where load torque drives the load motor. Okay, if we come to the third quadrant of operation, here again empty cage, but cage has to be moved downward. Okay, naturally the load torque will be in anti-clockwise direction because the weight of this counterweight is more than the empty cage. So if there is no motor, then it will move downward, but we want this empty cage to be moved downward direction. So motor will produce a torque that will be in clockwise direction. So clockwise direction will be negative. So that means in this case speed is in clockwise direction, motor torque will be in clockwise direction. So both are negative, but that will be motoring operation because power will be positive. Power is product of torque and speed. So power is positive. Okay. So that means it will be reverse motoring operation. It is motoring operation, but since speed is negative, we will call reverse motoring operation. Now come to the fourth quadrant. In this you can see it is loaded cage and it is have to be moved downward. Naturally the load torque will be in clockwise direction. Okay, so you can see here the motor have to produce anti-clockwise direction torque to balance that clockwise direction torque. So you can see that motor torque is in anti-clockwise direction, that is motor torque is positive. Speed, so since it is moving downward, so speed will be in clockwise direction. So clockwise direction we have taken negative, so speed is negative, torque is positive, so product will be negative. So that is braking operation. But since speed is negative, we will call it reverse braking operation. Okay, you can read from the book that I sent to you if you have any confusion, or you can ask me question. I will make another video to address all these queries. Okay, so up to this I will end this lecture. Now in this next lecture I will discuss about the equivalent load motor system, and I will also give some kind of assignment to solve. Okay, so next lecture is very important, where different types of loads that are coupled with gear or some transformation mechanism, then we will transform those loads into one equivalent motor load system, and then we'll solve some numerical example. Okay, thank you.